Right, so today we're going to talk about infestation of insects. Why does it happen and what you can do to get rid of insects without killing them or harming them. Right, so to understand why you experience an infestation of insects in your house, we need to know the reasons beyond the physical realm. So we talk about metaphysics. The study of metaphysics consists in finding the reason, the primary reason why something happens beyond the physical. To understand why we experience infestations of insects and mice and rats, we need to understand the reasons why. So we know the physical reasons why we have an infestation of ants or spiders or mice. We can always talk about the climate, the weather, the location of your property, and we can talk about holes on the walls and gaps, food all over the place, and that is attracting animals and insects. We know that's the physical reasons, right? They're valid, they're true, but they're physical reason. They're not the primary reason, right? The reason that generated that occurrence, okay? So I'll give an example how we find out about the primary reason of something. So let's say that you go out, right? And it's rainy and you go in the rain and you talk to a lot of people and you stay in the rain and it's cold and then you come back home and then the next day you have a cold. We can, in the physical perspective, right, observing the situation, we can understand that you got a cold because your immune system dropped because you experienced cold, and then your immune system dropped, and then you were more susceptible to infections and viruses, and then you developed the cold. So this is the physical reasons, right? The primary reasons for that, right? That reason which is beyond the physical reason, that's why we use the term metaphysics, which is beyond the physical, right? Is what motivated you to go out at that specific time. What motivated you to go out without an umbrella? What made you go out in the rain and stay there? Or why did you have to experience cold? And why did you go out in that particular moment and got in touch with that particular strain of virus? Right? So this is the metaphysics. It's the beyond, right? It's the primary reason that made you go in there. And then we experience the physical repercussions of that, right? Which is the metaphysics, right? The primary reason why something happens. So things happen first in the invisible world, in the world of ideas and energy. And then we experience these situations in the physical realm. And then we have the explanations for that. So, for example, when you go to the doctors, they will give you the physical explanation of what you have, right? Or what has happened to you and why. It's all the physical, right? The beyond the physical, the primary reason what generated that in the physical realm is the study that we see in metaphysics, okay? If you have an infestation of, let's say, ants at your house, okay, we have the physical explanation for that, right? We could talk about the weather, we could talk about the position of your house, where your house is. Is your house in the countryside? Is your house in the middle of the forest? Is your house in a place where there's a lot of rubbish? Or is your house clean? Or, we know that as the physical reality. So we can observe the physical reality and find out why we have this infestation of ants, okay? What motivates the ants to go there, or what motivates you to get in touch with those ants, is then where the study of metaphysics can be applied so we can understand the reason why the infestation is happening. And they are these insects that live in collectivity, right? Not only in the physical world, but in the etheric world. So they don't have a soul. Like each ant, they don't have a soul. They function as a collective soul. So when you see many ants, they are functioning as one big soul. Eventually, all of those ants will reincarnate into much bigger insects and more complex insects, and eventually they will mingle into one soul and progress in their evolution, right? So in this stage where the ants are a collectivity, right? So they live as one single soul. They are in these etheric layers of the astral realm, right? So it's really in between the etheric realm and the astral realm. That's where their soul dwells. So ants, they have obviously their essence, right? They have the essence inside of them, right? The energy that surrounds the ants, right? They have like this proper energy. What is this proper energy, right? Is the energy that created the ants, that supports their lives. Obviously, in the etheric realm, I'm talking about energy here. I'm not talking about physiology or biology. I'm talking about the energy, right? Which is more subtle than what we have here in the physical realm. Those energies of ants, they are related to, you guessed it, sweetness, right? They are related to sweetness, but they are also related to wealth and happiness. What do I mean their essence? Well, their essence means the frequency of source that generated that energy surrounding the ants and generated that etheric bodies are very similar to the energies that we experience when we are happy or when we have prosperity and we are really happy and detached, right? And it's very sweet when we have like emotions of sweetness and when we are happy and kind. This frequency is very similar to the frequency that surrounds the ants, okay? And for that reason, ants, no matter where they are, in your house or in the middle of the jungle, right? They are surrounded by these ethers, right? This ethers is like this energy, okay? Very subtle energy. They're surrounded by these ethers, right? The collective soul, surrounded by these ethers of happiness and kindness, and prosperity, and mutual work. Obviously, every insect that lives in collectivity will work together. I mean, most of them, I guess. But what is the main point of ants is being sweet, being kind, and being happy. It's not only about work. I know that we observe ants in the physical realm and we relate them directly to work. They work together and they help each other, but that's not the main point. Bees are a lot more related to work than ants are. So ants are more related to, happiness, as I said. So the thing is, now we know that ants, they are surrounded by these ethers that they vibrate in a very similar frequency to happiness that we experience, okay? So the thing is, when you are in your house, right, and you have an infestation of ants, or you just have ants every day, crawling up your cupboards and on the tables and everywhere, and lines of ants and everywhere, and there's just so many of them. You don't understand because you always clean the house. So you can't find like really the reason. Even if you find the reason, again, we're not talking about the physical reasons, we're talking about something beyond what generated that, the primary reason, right? So when you have an infestation of ants, you can find the physical reasons for that. It's because the weather is changing, or it's because food everywhere, or it's because this, and that, or it's because I didn't seal my walls properly or something like that. This is the physical reasons. Fair enough. They're valid. They are real and true. But we're talking about what motivated that initially. And, right, that collective soul vibrates. When I say vibrates, is that like those currents around them, around their bodies, are in a frequency. If you could measure with a machine, they are in a frequency similar to happiness, as I said. So when they infest your house, it's because that part of your house is lacking that energy of sweetness, kindness, and happiness. Nature tends to balance out. So if one place has very low energy and then a being, an animal or a person has like high energy, then they balance out. The person who's happy is going to donate the energy to that place, and the place is going to absorb or from being to being. If you are super happy, super motivated, and you feel great, and there's a person who's depressive, when you talk to them, things tends to balance out. So the person with depression feels a little bit better after talking to the happy person, and the happy person feels a little bit more let's say tired, after they talk. Why? It's not that the depressive person is stealing energy. No, it's because nature, either in the physical realm or in the astral realm, tends to balance out. Equilibrium, that's the balance. So things will, what is up goes down a little bit, what is down goes up a little bit. So the ants, the infestation of ants, remember, they are full of that happiness, and they're full of that kindness and sweetness, cute stuff, right? So when they go in this place, it's because that place is lacking sweetness, it's lacking kindness, it's lacking happiness, right? So the reason why we think that ants are so fond of sweets is because we eat a lot of sweets to compensate the lack of sweetness inside of us, right? So when we are, let's say, addicts to sweets, it's because we don't have enough of those hormones. We're not feeling happy enough, so we need a big slice of cake. We need chocolates, we need like fizzy drinks, we need like a lot of sugar all the time to kind of lift us up. So it's a compensation kind of thing. So when you have a lot of sweets around, a lot, it's because maybe you are lacking that sweetness. So you are compensating having more and more sugar, right? So the ants go in there. So you think that the place is so super sweet because there's a lot of sugar. But actually, in the physical world, it's sweet. But in the etheric world, the world of energies, it's not sweet. It's lacking because it's based on emotions. So ants go in there to balance out. They're attracted to, they don't do it deliberately. So they don't go there like, okay, let's go there and donate energy. No, they tend to balance out. So they are attracted. They function based on instinct. So the ants go in there, to your kitchen, right? There are the reasons, the food, the gaps, the weather, but they go in there primarily because the place is lacking sweetness and kindness and happiness. That kind of cute, sweet, beautiful thing, it's lacking there. Remember, nature tends to balance things out. The same thing works for spiders, right? Spiders, they live in collectivity as well. Some of them, you see them as single spiders, but that doesn't mean that they have like one unique soul, right? They are related to other spiders, right? And eventually they will mingle into one soul. Anyway, so spiders are related to studies and labor, physical labor and studies and intellect, right? Again, related is because the energies that surround the spiders, the energies that generated their energy that animates them, is very similar to the energy of intellect and thoughts and thought forms and work and creativity and things like that. Okay, studies, knowledge. When you have spiders in your house, it's because that particular area of your house with spider webs and spiders is lacking that energy of work and development, right? You can always find the physical reasons why spiders are in there. Like, I live in the middle of the forest, and obviously there's a lot of spiders in here, so that's why they're here. Or there's a lot of mosquitoes, so spiders take advantage of that and they spread their webs all over the place. Or it's because of the weather or whatever. You can always find the physical reason. The primary reason is a little bit more than just I live in the middle of the jungle. Because what is the primary reason in this situation? Why do you live in the middle of the jungle? I am sure that the difference between a person who lives in the middle of the jungle and a person who lives on the top of a skyscraper is very different. A person who lives like in Siberia or in the North Pole thinks and functions very differently from a person who lives in the jungle. There are reasons that motivate things to occur, right? So like the person in Antarctica, for example, will not experience spiders And I'm sure that the person in the jungle will not experience things that the person in Antarctica would, right? So again, it's the motivation, the reason, the primary reason why that thing has to happen in there, right? So we know about the material reasons. Now we need the beyond, the explanation beyond, okay? Spiders in your house, they point the lack of not creativity, but the lack of study, the lack of interest in progressing, not financially only, but also intellectually, and any progress related to work and knowledge and studies, right? So you see a lot of spider webs all over the place, and on books, shelves, things like that. So if you find a lot of spiders happening in your house, so what do you do to get rid of the infestation, to get rid of the animals? Obviously, I would never suggest killing them, spraying or doing anything like that, because when you do that, you just reaffirm that the energy is lacking. You're just promoting the lack of that energy to remain. And at the end of the day, the ants are there trying to help. Remember, they're balancing out the lack of happiness you've got in that particular area. And the spiders are just trying to balance out what you're lacking in there. And they do that in nature, by the way. So when you go to a forest or the woods and you see spiders in there, they are helping that particular place as well to develop study and observation and work to the other insects. They are helping other insects and other animals in nature. Remember, nature balances things out. So spiders are helping other spiders and other insects and other animals. Ants are helping other animals. Trees are helping everything in nature, right? Is helping each other. So it's like perfect balance, right? And spiders, any other insect will try to balance things out when they are in your house, right? So they're trying to help. Obviously, they're not aware of that, but they are doing that because they're attracted to that. So how do you get rid of them? Don't kill them, because you're just gonna create more agony. You're just gonna create more suffering, just gonna create more apathy, really. What you do is, knowing that ants are surrounded by this kind of kindness and sweetness, and they're there because you have the lack of it, then you have to transform your house or the particular area of the infestation into a very sweet place, right? How do you do that? It's not spreading sugar all over. It's about emotionally turning that place into a sweet place. So for example, make sure that you have flowers around, make sure you have plants around, because they bring happiness, make the place cute. It's about literally like what you feel in that place, what the place means to you. So spread, plants and flowers. Make sure that you have pictures on the walls, happy pictures on the walls. Make sure you change the curtains for, something more lively, bright colors. Have more fruits displayed, where you can see, in that particular place. Have more color. Make sure that sometimes when you're in there, you play some nice music in there, happy music. Transform that place. Take care of that place. Transform that place into a cute place, beautiful, kind place, a place where you feel like really happy, or a place that at least you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm so happy in here, or it looks happy. Even though I'm not happy, the place looks happy. Then the ants, eventually, they will no longer be required there by nature. Why? Because the place is already sweet enough, right? So they don't have to go there and balance things out, right? So if there's like apathy in the kitchen, let's say, right, or there's a lot of sugar, and you just go in there to recharge your batteries, then probably you're gonna have like some infestation. I mean, not always, but this is one of the reasons. So transforming that place into a place which is super cute and super sweet in some ways will get infestations eventually gone. You don't have to kill any of the ants. You can talk to the place as well. The talk is not essentially verbal, right? So it's not like talking in to the walls, and it's not about that. It's about the intention, the energy that goes, right? So complement your kitchen. Let's say that the infestation is happening in the kitchen. Complement the kitchen. Say good stuff to the kitchen. Again, it's not about the verbal thing. It's about creating the energy balance, passing that energy of sweetness and care to the objects, to the environment. So you were transforming that place, which was bitter, into a place which is now sweet, right? So that's what you want to do. And you do the same thing regarding spiders, right? So if the place is, full of spiders, they're trying to balance things out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna move your objects from place to place. You're giving it movement, right? You be creative as well. Read books in that particular place, right? Learn something in that particular place. You can download an app like to learn a language or something, and make sure that you have at least like one time a day a lesson there. You watch something educational there, or you make, when you're having like any plans, right, make sure that you go to that particular spot and you have the plans in there and you note things down, right? Do you know when you make a list to go shopping, go to that particular place and make the list in there, right? Because then you're developing like the whole thing regarding knowledge and work and labor, right? And then you are donating that energy, because you are a vortex, aren't you? So you are donating that energy to that specific place, and make sure again that you read books and you plan and you work there and you move things from place to place, and you read the books that are covered in spider webs, and you clean everything and you change places. Give movement to that area, especially like intellectual movement, and anything regarding plans and work and knowledge and study, right? That you see that eventually the spiders will no longer be required to go there and balance things out for you. The same thing happens to so many insects. Same thing works for mice and rats. I'm gonna make another video talking about mice and rats. It's pretty much the same explanation. Many other insects and animals, they have the same reasons of balancing things out. Infestation, don't kill the animals. It's not only because others will come back, but because it's just a disfavor of like killing ants when they're trying to help you, even though like in the physical world they might be like interfering in your life, right? It's like, okay, they don't really want that, but I mean, they're trying to help you somehow. Nature is trying to balance things out. So then you have to change your emotions around that, your thoughts, your behavior, okay? Killing, you just create more of that which is already lacking, okay? Same thing for mouse traps. Don't kill mice anymore. Don't kill rats, right? Make sure that they will not enter your house. I will get another video later about rats and mice. Don't kill them, because you're just creating more of that in your life. There are reasons why things exist in the physical world. We can always observe the physical world, but there's something beyond that. There's something before that, the primary reason why things happen. So next time you see an insect or an infestation, think differently. Think like, there's some energy lacking here. There's no balance in here. What should I change? And then your life is going to be much better. The insects will come back to where they came from, and everybody's going to be happy.